Hi there, guys. Hope you're doing good. I want to invite you to join me in this little evening jam here where we can play and speak about anything guitar related. And if you have any questions about the recent videos we've uploaded, I'm all here for you. And I'm playing my Ibanez RG here, and I'm going to make sure to abuse the... Oh, couldn't abuse it. Which I love doing. And I'm using this lovely little practice amp here, which is the THR something. I'm not sponsored in any way, but I found it really useful to actually play with an amp outside. I'm used to doing these streams with just an acoustic guitar, but then you can't do these, and I can't live without that, so I had to bring the amp outside. So if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing here, I'm actually using I just want to make sure I don't miss any messages here. I'm actually mostly, as always, relying on the pentatonic scale. But then as I get further down here, pentatonic scale gets a bit stretchy, right? You're a bit stuck doing these. So I tend to move on to maybe like the minor scale here. It's a bit easier. You have more notes within reach. Just to remind you, the minor scale has 7 notes, whereas the pentatonic has 5 notes. So the difference isn't huge, but still it makes a difference because all these notes repeat on the guitar. By the way, if you want me to sort of stop and break something down, I'm all here for you. Provided I can play it. Hi, Mr. Henry. What's up, my man? Awesome to have you here. And I tend to use and abuse the hybrid picking technique as well. So a lot of times, if you look closely on my right hand, you're gonna see this, right? It's just that anytime I'm doing a string crossover, or I want to play, from one string to the next, I just find it easier to use my hybrid finger. So, a good practice lick would be any lick that moves over 2 strings, right? So, like if you're in A minor, that kind of bluesy thing. 7, 5, starting on the D string, going to the G string. 7, 5, 7, 5. So instead of doing that with a pick, I do, and then hybrid. And the reason for this are many. I like the sound of it. The tone is really nice, but also it's more convenient, I think, because whenever you move your hand, you run a risk of actually messing up, right? How many times haven't you wanted to hit one string, but you hit another one, And it especially tends to happen in those kind of tense situations, maybe when you're doing a more difficult solo run. So it's a really handy tool. Hybrid picking, I know that I'm not going to mess up the picking part. I might still mess up with the left hand, that happens. but the chances of me missing the right hand are very slim compared to just picking. Then I always tend to miss, you know, a note once in a while. Especially with this kind of, you want to go more precise. That's when you start missing notes. I mean, there are things that help with the picking as well. For example, if I'm a bit worried I might miss a note and I'm playing slower, then I will gravitate towards raking, like that. So raking kind of takes me to the target string. So if I want to go to that 15th fret B string, instead of just going straight to it, so, and then, you know, there's always a risk I might play that instead, which is really not what I want. Instead of doing that, I'll rake up to it. So if you don't know what that means, raking, it's the same as sweeping. We're doing like one consecutive downward movement, or upward, but in this case it's downward, to kind of reach this pitch. And in order to do that, if you do it quickly, you can do it with open strings. So just. But if you want to do it a bit slower, then you're going to find that a bit of left hand muting is helpful, right? So just lightly touch the strings and then try to reach that note. And I mean, raking is a great way to avoid hitting the wrong string, but it's also a really powerful phrasing tool. I mean, just any note you're going to target, it's going to sound better if it's preceded by a rake. So I can show you that just playing a simple melody. Just adds more character to it. I mean, it's not always the best choice. It sounds a little bit aggressive, but a lot of times, especially when you're playing with distortion and this kind of high gain tone, you're doing it in like a high gain setting, right? So you might have a rhythm guitarist also playing high gain rhythm guitars. So you really want to cut through, and that's when raking helps a lot. Oh, you can't even see my fingers. That's crap. So let me try again. There's another thing I need to work on. I've always been crap at that, but I'm starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there. So basically doing these. Just giving you that sixth finger you always dreamed of having. So obviously when you're playing 4 notes per string, you're out of options after that. You either have to start sliding, or you have to change your position there, or you could use some tapping, which is what I did. But I'm crap at it. Really have to practice slowly and make sure I do it evenly. Kills me. That's also something I love doing, throwing in these flat fifth kind of double stops. So whenever you play like a standard, single note line, it's a really nice contrast to throw in those double stops. So. So if I just were playing single notes, it can get a little bit boring after a while. So if you do, you get a really nice contrast, which is a good reason to do it. You don't want to bore your listeners out. I just died. So for those faster runs, you really have to rely on muscle memory. So sometimes I do the big mistake of trying to think in the middle of a faster run, and that doesn't work. I mean, you can do that when practicing, but you certainly can't do it when performing. That kind of thing, it's all muscle memory. It has to be in the fingers, because as I said, I don't think even Albert Einstein would maybe have the time to think of phrases in the middle of those runs, right? You just don't have the brain capacity for it. It's a different story when you do it. That kind of... So slower phrasing certainly works with improvising, but the faster stuff is all muscle memory. So that's why you shouldn't be discouraged and think that some people can, improvise at those tempos. You really can't. Yes, you can combine patterns at will, but that gives you a lot of breathing room. So if one pattern is, then you can combine that with some. And that gives you a little bit of time to think, as you're muscle memorying out this first thing, you can use your brain to think, what am I going to muscle memory next, So that can give you a little bit of room for improvisation, but most of the time, it's just muscle memory. Let's see if we can find some other tone here. Okay, a lot of playing there, many notes. So do feel free to stop me if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, or just random statements can be fun as well. You never know. You never know what can happen. Cool. So glad to see some people in here. Do let me know if you have any requests for stuff you'd like me to speak about. I can just say words. So you say, please say my name, and I can say, hello there. Or I can just say some random word like Jazz 3 Pick, which isn't that random. It's actually what I'm using. But you can't tell because I've used it way too much and the text is gone. But Jazz 3 Tortex is this pick. It's not that this pick is, well, it's pretty good. I've played Jazz 3s since, ages. But this pick has a little bit better grip than the standard Jazz 3s. So I guess the Tortex things means, it's a different material. Says Albert Einstein, in case you wonder. Here's a favorite key of mine, key of F sharp. Oh, cool. P34, what's up? Legato hurts my left hand, making it difficult to improve. How to solve? Cool question. I use small prodigy picks. Cool. So, how do you get better at legato without killing and sacrificing your hands? If your hand is hurting, it's usually one out of two. Either you're practicing it for way too long. Personally, I can't really practice legato for long, 15, 20 minutes, that's it. In probably not more than like 1 minute in a consecutive practice, unless it's super slow. So that's number one. You can't really overdo it with legato, or I can't at least. It just kills my body, and I've had like long periods of injury, so don't do that. Number two is applying excessive tension. So if you do both 1 and 2 together, then you're guaranteed death, at least death in your hand. So don't practice legato for too long, especially not if you're not in complete control of tension. So those will be my first two. However, if you do the opposite, so in other words, practice in small increments, but super slowly, and be very much in control of tension, then that's going to give you a good foundation for legato. So if I am to practice legato for any longer period of time, it's going to be at this tempo. So even if you see me do this kind of thing, I can't practice like that. It's just going to kill me. So I have to practice slower. And at this tempo, I can actually, think about improvising and think about not playing the same thing over and over again. Slow down. So that would be the number one thing, control tension. So you might be asking, well, if I don't hit the notes hard, they won't sound. Correct. You might think that you have to apply excessive tension to get any sound at all from your legato note. Not correct either. The trick here is actually controlling where you hit the notes. That's super important. So if you can hit just right before the upper fret wire, you're gonna need a lot less, strength than if you were to, hit the string like closer to the lower fret wire. So that's a tip for you right there. So the reason why we're tempted to just apply overall pressure is because that's kind of hard, right? To, in a long run involving many different notes, always hit on the right spot. But that's what you should practice. Hit the string right close to the upper fret wire and try to just apply a minimum of tension. And the better you get at it, the more sound you will get out of that minimum amount of tension. I don't know if that makes sense. That would be my most important pointers. Let me just see what you guys are saying here. Do you have a favorite Vi type of lick? For sure, we can do that. Hi, I just joined. Would you show us your favorite mode, some variations over it? Well, cool. Since we had a request for both Vi style lick and my favorite mode, I'm gonna play something in the Lydian mode, and that's gonna give you an opportunity to show you a Vi lick. So the easiest way, I think, to explore the Lydian mode is to hit that low E string, and then the major pentatonic here on the 9th fret. Now this is just the major pentatonic. It isn't giving us the Lydian mode yet. So what we have to do is play the 11th fret B string. That's how you get the Vi sound. Is this just me, or does this sound like Vi? So again, hit the low E string, play the pentatonic scale on the 9th fret, which is going to make it sound major pentatonic, then add the 11th fret B string, and you're going to get that Lydian Vi-ish mode. Let's see. What do you mean with hurt the hand, the fingers, the whole hand, the wrist? So just to follow up about my advice on legato, and I said you can't apply excessive tension, you're gonna injure yourself and you're not gonna learn legato. So what I mean by hurting yourself is to actually physically hurt yourself, just like an athlete would. Now, if you're young and are in decent shape, so with young I mean like below 15, because after that you're in danger. You know, I hurt myself when I was 17, I think, and that made I couldn't play for like 6 months. So if you're in decent shape and below 15, then maybe you don't have to worry about that. But if you're over 15 or not in decent shape, then you're gonna have to worry about hurting yourself. That's why I'm saying it's possible to physically injure yourself when you play. So be careful. Don't apply excessive tension. Don't tense up, you know. Guitar playing should never be tensed up. There are a few moments, like if you do like a speed burst, where you might want to tense up a little bit. But you should never practice tensed up, you know? You should practice being in control of tension. That kind of thing isn't really possible to do if you're practicing tensed up. Be relaxed. Think your body should feel like it's about to fall asleep. That's what you're looking for. Totally relax your whole body. That's how you can really get those burning speed. Still being relaxed. That's gonna come after, you know, hours and hours and hours of relaxed practicing. That's super important. Does it make sense? Well, I feel my brain is fogging up. Hopefully I'm making sense out of this. Cool, Baza, yeah. You definitely get that the jazzy sound of the Lydian mode. I mean, the Lydian scale to me is like the jazzy version of the major scale, you know? If you're playing jazz and you're playing the major scale, well then major isn't that hip. You want to do something with it. And the first go-to would definitely be to change that fourth and play the sharp fourth instead. So that's what we're doing here on the 11th fret B string. If you really want to make it sound Vi, what you gotta do is actually slide down to it from upwards here. So if you hit that low E string, that's nice. That's what that's what Vi would do. You would hit any note up here on the B string and then slide down to the 11th fret. Arif from Indonesia, what's up, my man? So if you want to try that, you hit the low E string and then slide down to the 11th fret. That sounds Vi. You could do the opposite as well, slide up. It's something Vi would do, but it's also something a lot of other players would do. And you should try that with any note, not just this Vi kind of thing. Oh, how would you resolve the sound you just played? You could, you know, you don't always have to resolve it, but you could play like if you're in E major, you could just go back to the E major chord like this. The only tension is really going to be there at the sharp fourth, so anything standard you play in the key of E major is going to resolve it. So you can, but I mean, the easiest way would be just to. Thanks, by the way, Baba, for reminding me. I should probably think about resolving things more often. I'm definitely just. I think I'm too fusion to resolve sometimes. But if you want an easy way of doing that, I hear a dog. What you can do is play the low E notes and then take these shapes. These shapes are from minor and major chords. So these are going to be fairly tension free. And it's just nice chords. You can play nice chord voicings. And the good thing is, when you're in the key of E major, you can actually play both the open E string, the open B string, and the open E string, which allows you to, use this chord voicing, standard major chord voicing, and play all the open strings, which is going to give you an awesome kind of resolution sound there. Turning down the volume knob a little bit, clean things up. So if you start with 5, you can turn down the volume knob. And if you have a whammy bar, you could do. I guess this is also something Vi would do, but a lot of other people would do it as well. And again, I'm just using this would be like you probably recognize this chord, right? It's a C sharp minor bar chord, but we remove the bar and we only play on the A, the D, and the G string, and then we apply the open strings. So like this. Yeah, it does. It does give you some like old-time vibes. I agree. With those chords in the key of E major, and if you don't know the whole E major scale, a very good starting point is just to play that trusty pentatonic box here on the 9th fret. Works really well, that low E string, and then you get that major sound. And if you want it to sound Steve Vai-ish, you just way to hold the guitar, because as soon as I let go, I'm going to drop the guitar, and your left hand should never be carrying the guitar and playing. It's just not possible. But I'm not really happy with this angle. Hi, can you tell which is better, Floyd Rose or tremolo on this guitar? This is very close to Floyd Rose. This is just their original, I think it's called Edge, and it's you know, you can do the flutter thing. That kind of thing works really well. It's awesome. I don't think there's a big difference between this one and Floyd Rose, but don't quote me on it. Someone else will know. But what I do know is it's not. This. I think I prefer this compared to the. I think it's called Edge Zero or something like that. So that's a whole different school of thinking from Ibanez there. But this is just the traditional, you know, tremolo. You can see how it looks here. So nothing fancy here. It's just the standard way of doing it. Works really well. Except for when you break a string, then it works really not at all. But that's okay. That's what you sign up for when you do this. Play this fix this angle a little bit. I'm not turn the camera down like that. Let's see if this gets any better. This is actually an impressive tripod here. Let's see. No, that cuts my head. Some people would maybe like me to cut my head off, but I'm not ready to do that quite yet. There we go. Is there a difference? Let me know. Okay, maybe the guitar isn't as audible now. Does the guitar sound further away now? Buzza, so happy, man. You want to watch more of my content. Thanks a lot for sharing these moments with us. I just got the notification I subbed to you sometime in the past, but lost contact with your channel because I've scrapped guitar for a while. Yeah, it might not be your problem. It might be YouTube. It doesn't like us a lot right now, but hopefully we can change that. Hi, can you tell which is better, floater? Oh yeah. So yes, the guitar sounds loud and clear. Awesome, man. So if you want to attend more of my streams, I actually, you're going to get the notification if you're on the GMC website, regardless of what platform I'm on. But I do more streams on Instagram and Facebook, actually. Just because we get much more views there. So, you know, going to spend our time. It's more effective on other platforms. But I do like YouTube a lot, so hopefully we can get rolling here as well. Should we try a new sound? This is... loud. I think I'm going to annoy my neighbors. Let's try it one more time. Oh, Billy wants me to play Petrucci while I'm in the middle of my boogie. That's almost sabotage. Sorry, Billy, just kidding, of course. I'm going to do some Petrucci, though I really crap at Petrucci. I think I know one run from him. Yeah, let's try. I do know this, like Pull Me Under. Oh, I can't remember, how was it? Is it this, this like a... No. I can't remember, sorry. But Petrucci, he would do these kind of build-ups, right? So a lot of like all picked up build-up. So if you wanna, instead of just playing like that, you would do So these build-ups are super useful if you want to emulate the Petrucci style. So again, don't just like start with a note. Try to do something before it, something that leads to it, preferably fast. So that does require you to put quite some time into metronome practicing, but it's also going to get you closer to John Petrucci. So again, if we have like, let me see if I can. This would be like, well, B minor pentatonic, or maybe like Dorian. Think of it as E Dorian, that's easier. So if you had like an E Dorian thing, and then you could do, this is what I'd practice. So this is what I would practice, right? I would practice building up towards that 12th fret B string. So 12, 15, 14, that's my lick, or that's my melody. And the build up would be this. I would practice that, right? So from the D string, 11, 12, 14, and then the same thing on the next string. So you get 14, 11, 12, 14, 11, 12, 14. So I'd practice that first, and when I know how to play that, I would continue with my melody, which is like that, right? And that wouldn't make me sound like Petrucci at all, but it's still cool. So yeah, I listen quite a bit to the Images and Words, and even more to the Awake album. So I have some great memories of that. But I never really transcribed it, because I think back in the days when I listened to it, I didn't have the shops to play any of that stuff. So yeah, just listen to it. Good music though, great songs, great singing, great guitar playing. So let's see, we had some comments there. I suggest you the Barstool Warrior solo. Oh, so that's is that Petrucci, Barstool Warrior? Is that one of the newer tracks, perhaps? Very cool. Yeah, I should definitely. I mean, they released a lot of good recent material as well. I just haven't really had the time to listen to it. Oh, Polifia Matteo Mancuso. No, I'm too crappy for that. Let the man do this boogie. Thank you for the support. I need to play my boogie. But yeah, maybe cleaner sound. I don't know. I mean, maybe some way. I mean. I don't know. I can't play that style, but it's cool. It has a lot of like, kind of almost like bass licks, like combined with harmonics. So, playing bass on the guitar maybe isn't that hip, but if you combine it with these harmonics, which you definitely won't hear on the bass guitar, at least not like that, then you have this modern style. And lots of other cool stuff probably, which I'm not aware of. But that's what I've analyzed so far, just that. I can't play though. And then quite a bit of double stuff, slide around with like minor thirds, major thirds, like that as well. That would be like more the Matthias Sata thing maybe, but I think I've heard some of that in Polifia as well. Maybe. I don't know. I'm crap. Maybe try to just play bass. I would love to, get more into bass. You tell me. How should I do it? Let's see. Cool, man, Baza. Thanks a lot for the great words. Um, I mean, I'm working a little bit about on just doing more like voicings and stuff like that into my playing. But I think I have a good more 5 or 10 years ahead of me before I actually can, you know, move around with them just as naturally as I would with single note lines. I mean, it's definitely trickier. Cool, Buzza. We're always 5 to 10 years behind someone. That's the good thing here. Can never really, be at the front, because as soon as you are, you realize, oh man, but that person does that kind of stuff really well. I need to do that as well. So that's why, always look ahead in a positive way. I think should do. This is a pretty clean sound. That's true. Flamenco guys. Spike, what's up, my man? We're just here hanging around, chilling. How are you doing? We've just spoken about how we always think we're crap no matter how much we practice, and that's definitely true. And I think it's a double-edged sword. For some people, it can really be a trigger to practice. It's like the competitiveness of the guitar. And some people really, get put down by it and they don't want to practice. I don't know. For me, I think I would. I'm also, if I look too much at other people who I think are extremely good, then that can also put me down. So what I tend to do is mostly compare myself with myself. So I'm kind of competing with myself, um, and and I know that in order to do that, you really have to be harsh on yourself. So I tend to look back on my own playing, and it's like, okay, everything I've done, anything I've done is crap. That's like the basic thesis. And the reason I tell myself that is simply to force myself to continue making progress. Because I know that if I ever start thinking, well, I'm pretty good now, then, that's the end of it. So I, listen back to the stuff I've done, and, maybe I like the overall vibe, but I'm still going to search for those things that could improve it. And what that means in plain English, I'm going to search for the mistakes and the sucky parts of it. But I think that's, I don't mind that approach as long as it's constructive, right? If it makes you want to put the guitar down and just feel bad about yourself, then that won't work. But for me, it works. Cool, Spike. Thanks so much, man. Means the world. So yeah, definitely inspiring words there. I've managed to inspire you, and that keeps me going. Awesome. So I have started producing more content now, and hopefully that means that at some point YouTube is going to start showing this content as well to people who follow. I think they deserve that. But if you want more of my content, I'm definitely more on Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. So be sure to follow me there as well, and of course on the GMC website if you want my teaching. So let's see. Should we do some boogie again? Oh, do I still have the Porsche guitar? That wasn't me. That's my co-instructor, Ben Higgins. I think he has it still, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, or at least one of the Porsche guitars, his dad had made for him. So that's not the guitar I guess you tend to throw away easily or sell. But you're still gonna have to check with him, Ben Higgins. I think he still has it. So basically, on this channel, we started out just showcasing a lot of different material from the different GMC instructors. So that's why not all content is by me. In fact, a lot of the early stage stuff was not by me. Recently, pretty much all content is by me. But that can be a little bit confusing if you don't see people's face, but you're always going to find a link below the video that takes you to the original lesson, and you're going to see the instructor's name and face, and of course get more content from the actual lesson. Cool. You've been playing on jam sessions in bars. Could you maybe give tips on improvisation with people? Cool. Yeah, for sure. Don't use the boogie sound for that. Would be my first tip. That's a nice sound. So, I mean, if you're in that moment and you're trying to perform as good as you can, then I would say a few pointers. The number one is to listen, right? Listen to what the other people are doing, and don't be afraid to take pauses. So if you take a pause, what you play afterwards usually sound better than if you hadn't taken a pause. And during that moment of pause, you can actually hear what the other guys around you are doing, or girls. And you're gonna hear that, okay, that drummer has a cool pattern. Da-doom, 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 da-doom. Maybe I can follow up on that, and it's gonna sound so much groovier. So that would be number one advice. Listen, listen, listen. That's important. Now, number two would be to, I mean, this is also a practice thing, right? You can't just come up and think of all this stuff, when you're on stage there. It's a good idea to, practice it as well. And that would be to try to hear a melody in your head before you play. And it also goes back to that pause, right? If you give yourself the time to pause, not only are you going to hear what the other people are doing, but you also have a chance to subconsciously or consciously, when practicing, think of something in your head. So perhaps you were just doing your regular, that's fun for a couple of seconds, but after that you need something that carries more melody, right? So if you pause, listen, and you hear the kadoom, 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 and then you go, oh, okay, kadoom, 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 that gave birth to a melody idea. So I think that's an important thing to consider right there. All the fancy stuff is nice, it's cool as a build-up, and you can definitely use that when you run out of ideas. But the goal should really be to blend in right with the band, and a lot of times your co-musicians are going to have lots of cool ideas in what they're doing. So if you're jamming, steal those or borrow those. It's not called stealing because you're jamming, right? You're inspiring each other. So yeah, listen, take pauses, and listen more as you pause, and see if you can come up with a melody that originates from your head while pausing and not from your muscle memory. I think that's key, right? A lot of times we let the muscle memory dictate the phrases and the melodies. That's just going to be crap, right? Well, not crap, but it's going to be boring. Actually, it's going to be amazing for the first seconds, and after that your muscles aren't going to come up with anything new, right? So that's when your brain needs to get involved. I don't know if it makes sense. Pause, listen, and groove. That's what I like to do. Now, the third tip would probably be to, do everything jam-based. That's more of a long run tip, but I mean, if all your practicing, even if your goal is to sit down and practice, I don't know, tapping or something, which really isn't maybe what you think of when you hear about improvisation. But even if you're practicing tapping, you can do that over a backing track. You can make that practicing musical. Now, not only does that dramatically increase the chance of you using that technique in a musical context when jamming, but it also just gives you musical input as you're practicing. So even though you might be practicing something technical, you're still getting musical input. And that's going to increase your musicality much more than if you were just focusing on that technical exercise. So that would be my most important tip, probably for the long run. Always practice in an improvised setting. Then you're going to find that the other things I said, like taking a pause and building stuff out of a melody that originates from your head and not from your muscle memory, that's going to be almost like the backbone of what you're doing. You're not going to have to think about it consciously, because that's pretty much what musical practicing is about. You're gonna get that type of input from the backing track, from the situation, and you're gonna be more inspired to actually play something musical as you're practicing, if you're exposed to music within the context of your backing track. That's good stuff. Very good stuff. Cool. So lots of good stuff here. I hope you guys had a good time. It's been a lot of fun just taking the discussion wherever it leads us. I think that's we're speaking about improvising, but this is real life improvisation. We're just speaking, and so that's why you should never have any doubts whether you're able to deliver something improvised on the guitar, because if you can just have a conversation with someone and not really know what you're going to say in advance, that's a form of improvisation in itself. So that should definitely boost your confidence, I think, because that's just as hard. The only difference is you've been working on that your whole life since birth, and the guitar you might not have practiced it quite as much. So let's see here. Mega lucky to be here live and hear your words. Our reactions to you. Thanks, man. So this was a really uplifting session. Thanks so much, man. It's been a really good session here. And why don't you come over on the GMC site and we'll keep hanging there. Uh, it would be awesome to see you on the forum as well. Now, I'm gonna have to leave now, but I'll be back, and I hope to see you guys again. See ya. Cheers.